Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditation practice, and there's a space of mindfulness through the act of drawing. This week we'll reflect on symmetry, on the exact balance or mirroring of two worlds, or the little more distorted, disrupted, changed, transformed relationship between one side and another. And through the drawing, finding ways to bring those two sides, slightly different, but kind of the same, back together as a whole. Maybe the meditation has bigger context. Maybe it's a way of thinking about our interaction and relationship with ideas, politics, other people, or just anything on the other side of the mirror that we have to face every day. And that they're not so different, even though they may seem quite opposite. They share a geometry, a context, and can be brought together through mutual ground. I'm just going to use a pencil today on a piece of Bristol, but anything you have to draw with will work just fine. I'll move between free, playful, curvy lines, more controlled, segmented, straight lines, shapes, a little bit of shading, a little bit of contouring, and then a little bit of hybridization to bring it all together. As we go through the exercise, we'll bring a lot of attention to the way we're moving the hand, the way the breath can guide aspects and bring some stillness and observation to the output, and then the way that our medium can play through complex territories of juxtaposition. Go ahead and gather your supplies, establish your space, and let's draw together. Well, originally the theme I thought of this morning was some kind of mirroring or reflection, but it'll just kind of be that. I don't know, it might develop into something else. We'll see, but we will start with that premise, so we can look a little in the technique warm-up of each instance of engagement. We'll start with some kind of line, horizontal, vertical, whichever you prefer. I think I'll work kind of like a horizontal field condition, and we'll play a game on two sides of the line. One side, the first side, will engage with something a little bit more free, coming out of the line and just having a little fun playing with the curve, moving around. Whatever it may be for you, they can be complex, simple, a little in between, put a little hole in it if you want to, anything like that. And we'll take the line as a place where everything shifts, and we'll try to redraw roughly that idea in another way, maybe a little bit boxier. Interpret as you like. You could have some angles, or be more orthogonal. Just working the way around to that place where it reflects to a different condition. And on the two sides, we can try out a few different things. Maybe the curvy side, more of like a landscape, could have a little bit of contouring and play to begin to fill it in. We've got islands or other things, we work around them. Something. And maybe the other side, some shading, some hatching, something to distinguish it. See how that develops quickly here, just giving it a little tone to see how it looks as two different things. But you could play different ones throughout the exercise. But that'll be mostly it, and after that it's kind of a choosing of where others might go. Do they avoid each other as they work themselves out, or perhaps crisscross behind and in front of each other, and stack them up and layer them around. See what it develops into. Before we dive into getting too creative with it, just take a moment to catch our breath, to catch our surroundings, to notice into what's happening in the space that we're in, and as well as the space within. Just make sure we're comfortable, situated, have all the things we need so we don't have to reach out. If you want any other pens or pencils, go ahead and gather them up. And take a few full breaths, not necessarily deep, not shallow, but noticed. And as you're ready, reaching for the tool you'd like to begin with, giving it a moment in the hand just to move it around, feel its weight, its proportions and size. Find the way you like to hold it for drawing, the one that feels appropriate to the tool. And we'll start with our first line of division and connection. Somewhere, anywhere on the page, finding a place the hand feels drawn to, and is marking out that line. It can go in any orientation. I think I'll stay kind of horizontal just for fun. And once it's there, the page is established. Take a little time with the eyes to take it in. Depending on where that first line exists, you'll get a different balance of space around it, under it, next to it. And that might inspire some things with the drawing, or just get us familiar with the territory we'll be working in. And I'll take that first playful journey around, finding somewhere to begin on the line. Setting yourself up to let the hand move freely. As you feel ready, letting it start a journey, just a little point going for a walk along the page until it finds its way back to that line. The theme extending out from that plane in space, the thing sliding under an edge. Any little stories could come into how we start to see this piece. And I look at it like the surface of water. Something on one side gets distorted from the other. Taking some time with the first one to just notice some of the features moving down, over, around, thinking about how it can translate to a more angular or straighter line version. And as you're ready, starting from one place, using the eyes to track along the features of the first side, but translating with the mind and the hand into new conditions. There's no right or wrong with it. Just getting a sense of how it can be seen otherwise. Over time, we might develop some consistency to the two languages. We'll see how that goes, but they will have their own character there. We'll give the first one that attention to think about how we'd like to render or play on the two sides. We'd like to do some light shading, not too precise or detailed, just getting some tone onto the page to fill in that space, give the hand another way of moving, whether that's in the curvy one or the boxy one, any application or coding there. We'll switch kind of modes of the hand several times. So that's a good place to start to bring our attention in. How are you holding the pen or pencil? How is it forming the mark, stroke, or the line? Bring some attention to that hand and wrist, how they're held together as a tool, maybe moving a little freely and independently. Noticing how your eye moves through the space, working in tighter areas and more open areas. Might shade around the perimeter and then fill in, just work back and forth along, depending how your hand feels comfortable operating. Again, not worried about the precision of it, just moving the hand, noticing the movement, filling in a little bit of space there. And then letting the mind and hand switch to another way, a way of the curviness, a way of retracing and moving along some of what we created the first time, perhaps. And work with a little bit of contouring, layers that kind of follow each other, but each one has its own place to wander off if it wants to. A little landscape and a little shadow forming there. Okay. You can take your time with each one. Maybe we'll establish a few moments now, working out into the paper, and then oscillate through the formations. Wherever you are with the one you're working on, you can take a moment or two to finish it up. But as you're ready, we'll begin again, just like the first time, by finding a place for that horizontal line, below, above, left or right, near or far, and exhaling it out over the page. You're taking a few breaths to set up several of these conditions, and work around whatever oddities come from them. So in following our breath cycles, finding another location, breathing in, and letting that line make its way across the paper. Go through 3 or 4 of these to really feel the inhalation of the breath as we find place. Follow the exhalation of the breath as we make a mark out on the page. Sit a moment in the space in between, and then replenish the cycle, breathing in, drawing out, finding place, and marking some space. A couple more, and really listen in to the air passing in on the inhalation and the flow out with the exhalation. A little exaggeration of the sound, let the ears really pick it up, feel the rhythm out of that cycle of breathing in to fill out some space, out to translate that mark out of the page. With the field established, anytime we want to fill in some more areas, feel free to take a breath, follow that line out, establish new relationships, but this gathering should be a good place to start. Finding one that calls your interest and playing the same game out as before. A place to begin on the line, a direction to play. Initiated by the breath, and follow it all the way back to its starting plane. And do a few of these to establish the territory a little bit more, layer by layer, Maybe mixing it up, playing with orientation and direction, bringing that awareness to how you begin, where you travel, and how you end. Riding the breath. Just want a chance to explore and experiment with a little bit of shape and figure. To start from an edge, wander through a space, and return to completion. Some more complex, some more simple. Little figures. Smoothly playing across the paper. And as your brain and eye start to maybe track ahead to know the game that will be at play, you might see some places of wonder. How will that work out? How will those overlap or avoid each other? After a few more shapes, we'll start to play there and see what we find. We'll leave a couple free, something to come back into. The page always growing and expanding. We're looking across the field that's there now, maybe finding one that attracts the attention, has some fun features, moves in an interesting way to the eye, or when your first glance draws you towards. And now beginning our layer of translation from one character of curve to another, the continuous change to the incremental line. Using the softness of the breath to track along the general shape of something. Transferring one world over into another. Taking your time to follow the curvature, to follow the breath through, and get that slightly distorted mirror of the shape, the strange symmetry, the play of geometry. I have many to go through and an infinite number that can grow out. We have no rush, just taking some time with each one to play with it, to see where it might go, to explore the unique characters of the initial play on the paper. Bringing perhaps a breath to each line, chance to reposition, to let the eye track where it is. To work out some of the fun inversion problems. Take your time if you have to. If you have a sketchbook and you can turn it around, maybe that helps. If not, do your best to follow the mirrors. As long as we get back to where we started, and let our mind bring its attention to the language, the curve versus the segment. We'll get something similar. It's matching. And when you run into one that might have a little conflict, a little potential for overlap or interacting, choose over, under, combined, or adjust. I go let the shadow slip over the top. Little intersection at first. See where that might go. Keeping the attention to the rhythm, the breath, guiding each translation, each segment to the other. Taking a pause whenever it becomes complicated to take the bearings. Each stroke of the pencil, taking some time as you become familiar with the system to notice how your mind engages with that mirroring, the distorted symmetry. It can be a bit of a challenge to flip the world over, to change its structure, but maintain its general consistency. But as you reach the end of your shapes, you can always start some new ones. Or move to the next layer, shading, contouring, hatching, bringing a little character and depth to the pieces. I think I'll start in the places of the most near conflict, the overlap potential, and work out from there. First, playing again in the contours, those curvy lines made a while ago. A chance to revisit that smoother, softer motion of the hand. Chance to transform it, to play with it into another shape. A chance to decide how it interacts with the neighbors. If there's an overlap, does it change the movement of the contour, the movement of the play, or do we work right through it, pushing the sand around? Anytime, if you play in one realm for a little while, you might want to switch over to the other to see how they come together. Feel free to oscillate back and forth, let the hand move free for a while, and then come in and start to work in another way. For me, a little shading, working in pen or marker, maybe a little hatching, a chance for the mind to operate a little differently, to feel the two different sides of the reflection as their own worlds covering similar territory. Just draw for a few minutes. Enjoy the space you've made. Explore the two sides of the line. You have many opportunities to make decisions with that edge. Is it too hard to divide between the meandering, sinuous curve and the purposeful, straight line? Or is there something in the medium that can cross from one world to the other, breaking their graphic distinction and identity? Perhaps the contour, the outline draws them closer. The shade merges their interior shapes. Anything becomes possible with that simple free motion of the pen or pencil. Easily switching whenever the mind gives it a little direction, straighter, curvier, continuous or separate. And that distinction between worlds, that hard line that may distort or shift how things are seen, get a little softer, comes a negotiation or sharing. And maybe with time all those lines will disappear into the fabric, become only part of the pattern, not the primary feature. As we approach the end of the exercise for the day, noticing with your senses the place you're engaging for the final bit, the fingertips on the tool, the temperature, the hand or the skin, the place around you, the sounds, maybe a fan, traffic or birds. Scratching of the marks on the page. The smell or absence of smell in the space we've been for a little while. As we acclimate, becomes neutral in the background. We can bring it back to our attention with a little deep inhalation and noticing an exhalation. All the senses coming together, often supporting our place in the world, helping us navigate it, used when we need them, unnoticed but still active all the time. And we'll use those to bring the movement to a close. Many more things to complete, to explore. Feel free to continue navigating the reflection. But as you're ready for a moment, just to even take a little break, let the pen and pencil slow down, let the eyes see the broader picture. Notice where you've done some things, made some decisions. Give the hands perhaps a little bit of stretch, pressed into the table or just open, nice and wide. Feel all the tension flowing out into the skin and then relax. It just dissipates into the air. Little wiggle, little deep breath. Each condition starts to develop its own little character there. Some of them maybe looking like something. The silhouette we drew on one side, the playful contouring movement of space flipped over and drawn as line segments on the other side can suddenly transform. Maybe it's our position, the relationship to the thing we're seeing. Perhaps it's the way it's made up, the geometry that structures it, or the looking at it deeply, taking our time with it, and translating from one position to another. And I'm finding some fun in the flow of shading that goes between the two worlds, the heavier, darker silhouette, something architectural, something more solid, and the moving, sinuous curves, more territorial landscape, flipped along that axis of symmetry or mirroring. There's always a lot of territory left on these drawings as they develop as a series or system of things that can establish a page, grow, and transform over time. We never really know how far we'll get in 20 or 30 minutes, but we layer them in, layer our completion. Any moment something is where it is. And always feel free after the exercise, after you get started, if you see something interesting, dive back in, go into it, explore it fully, let it fill and expand to that paper, or put down a new sheet and take a deep look at one or two things. Whatever you find in these exercises opens you up to continue exploring your own mindfulness, your own practice of drawing and expression, and to build your own world. It's its hybrid condition of many sides. Thank you for joining, and if you enjoyed the exercise, give it a thumbs up below, subscribe for more episodes of Mindful Drawing, and share with your friends or comment below on what you found when you explored your own connection to mindfulness. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and draw well. Thank you.